All right, it happened again. My camera just turned itself on while I was trying to make my hair look at least a little presentable. I'm going to have to wash it tonight. It's been in that knit hat long enough that there's no amount of hand brushing it that's going to make it look presentable. Today has been an absolute day of blessings, or a day of absolute whatever. Thursday is today, my third Thursday homeless, so that's day 24. Hello to newcomers. There we go, the devil horns. Hello to newcomers. I am Shaggy Philalitea. You can call me Shaggy, you can call me Shags, you can call me V, you can call me Vincent. Please don't call me Vince, and I hate Vinny. Isn't how I usually say that, but whatever. I am homeless, and the top of my head looks ridiculous, but I don't care. Today, I do care a little bit. Today has been, and yesterday, it's just been a blessed, absolutely blessed week. I told you about my before noon acquisitions, and then I spent my period in the mall, or in the library afternoon, telling you about how great that was, instead of doing any of the other things I like to do with my library time, because I accidentally destroyed my library book that I've been reading for you for Spoopyween. So God says, no more Spoopyween, and that's fine. I was telling you that I don't even like to celebrate this month, and so if God doesn't want me to celebrate this month in my way, then I don't need to celebrate this month in any way. But yesterday, I'm going to start in order. I'm going to tell you a series of stories. Today is story time, while I wait to go across the street to the church that's giving away socks. Yesterday, as I just decided to take... No, I didn't. I went home early, and I was feeling good about having full battery and a full belly and a loaf of bread to take home with me to eat for dinner for the rest of the week, and just feeling so grateful and sharing my gratitude with everybody I met. And I get on the bus, and we're driving along, and I realize I don't recognize where I am. I'd gotten on the wrong bus, but it turned out to be fine. I didn't have anywhere to be, and during his move, Madge is finding it difficult to stream, so I wasn't going to be doing the phone call with him anyway, so I had nothing to do. I had full battery, and so what I could have been doing, honestly, if I'd taken if I'd taken the correct bus, I would have got home an hour early, and I would have been able to do I'd have been able to do the inaugural episode of Talking to the Future Gaming, with episode 4 of my Final Fantasy speedrun. But instead, I just sat there and listened to the bullshit talk on the bus, which there wasn't much, but there was some, and got familiar with the Pataskala route, is what it's called, down south of Zanesville, and then just took the whole route back and got off the bus, and then got on the proper bus when it came around. And I get on, and the lady sitting there is a regular. She's always on the bus. Well, not always, but I see her around town a lot. And so I get on, and I tell her my dumbass just took the wrong bus, just joy rode his way around, or not Pataskala is not what it's called, Putnam. Pataskala is in North Columbus. Anyway, Putnam. And she laughs, and we're sitting there, and the bus driver is enjoying her smoke break, and she just turns around out of nowhere, and she looks at me, and she goes, "Yeah, I'm sick of these. Do you want a Mountain Dew?" And I said, "More than anything in the whole world, I want a Mountain Dew." And so she hands me a Mountain Dew bottle from the 6-packs that you can buy at Kroger or whatever. And so I stick that in my backpack, and I'm just telling her, like, thank you. You don't even understand. This is a very real answered prayer for me. I go to bed. I told her I go to bed every night just praying to God, just whatever. If I've been a good boy, give me a Mountain Dew. Just provide me a Mountain Dew. And so we chit-chatted and bullshit for a few minutes. And she's telling me the Scuttlebutt in Zanesville, and the Scuttlebutt on Maple is the name of that bus route. So she's telling me telling me about all these people's lives, and then the bus driver's coming back, and she goes, "You know what? I don't want this one either. Here, just take it." And she hands me an actual 20 ounce, that cost her real money. I don't even want it. She just hands it to me, and I was like, I'm taking this. I'm not even gonna, I'm gonna express gratitude, but I'm not even gonna think about, no, I don't need you. Take it. Yeah, more than anything in the whole world, I told her. I told her I dream about it. I miss. We were talking about how Mountain Dew is her favorite beverage, and I said, man, I grew up in North Carolina where that stuff is bottled, or where it was invented. It may not be bottled there anymore, but I grew up in the western part of North Carolina where that stuff was invented, and I'll tell you what, it's like water out there, and we were laughing, and I said, I'm not proud of it, but I could survive on Mountain Dew and Doritos for weeks, maybe months at a stretch. And she's laughing, and we were talking about how she doesn't really like Doritos, but if she gets the Mountain Dew thing that's like water. And so anyway, as soon as the bus driver gets on, she goes back to talking to somebody that she knows well enough that they know her stories or whatever. And so she leaves me alone, and I go back to my music, and I get to my tent, and it got down to 29 degrees last night. I've done that video. And so today I'm standing there at the bus stop, and as soon as I get to the bus stop, the sun just out, and now I'm like, oh no, I'm hot. And so I strip down out of my extra pants, and just as I'm thinking to myself, I got to get out of this jacket and out of this sweater, out of this sweatshirt that I'm wearing, this sweater I'm wearing right now, I'm thinking I got to get out of this. I'm just gonna bake. I'm gonna just be dripping sweat and stinking. By the time I get to breakfast, the bus driver rolls up, so I go to lunch, and then this is the second story, I suppose, of how today is just blessed. I had a choice today between going to therapy at 11 or getting lunch before 1. And so here's the thing, if I go to my hour therapy, even if I were to bail after a half an hour, I'm cutting it too close. We're talking maybe 15 minutes to get to the Christ table, and it takes 12 minutes to walk there. So if the bus is late, and the bus is almost always late, unless the bus is early, then the bus is like 10 minutes early. Anyway, if you've ever used a bus line, you know what I'm talking about. Weirdly inconsistent as shit. But fine. That's fine. They're humans. I get to the Christ table, and I get my seat, and I listen to my music for a few minutes, and then my phone dies, and so I pop out my Bible and I read Ezekiel, and we'll have to talk about how everything I've been telling you about liberal women and about the way that women's society and women's magic has worked across the world. The reason that it's been made illegal by every civilization is in Ezekiel, and I can show you that the same things that we're doing now, that liberal women are doing now, that feminism is embracing now, and I can even show you how liberal women are intentionally misreading the Bible to lie to you, if you really wanted to. That's gonna have to come after John, but if you want it, you know what to do. Like, comment, subscribe, share, tell your friends to like, comment, subscribe. I'm gonna need petition levels of requests to do some of these things, because some of these things are gonna get me hate bombed, and I don't like the hate bombing. But I'm enjoying getting the comments that I get. They're all hate. They're all which means that, and they're all from males, which means I'm doing something good. I'm doing something unique. I'm doing something me, and I'm doing something that makes them feel like they're inadequate. So that means I'm doing something right. Not because they should be inadequate, or because I want to make them feel inadequate, but because if your response to somebody just being themselves is to feel inadequate and want to destroy them, that means that what they are is good and better than you. And so I get there, and I'm just chilling, and the guy I was chilling with, drinking my coffee, he leaves. He gets up and he just takes off. And then this woman sits down beside me, great big woman, and that's fine. She says, she comes over and she goes, do you mind if I sit with you? And I said, oh, absolutely not. And then I got to thinking about it, and I was like, you're clever, and you're nice, and you can pretend to be more sociable. I mean, you do it online, so just do what you would do. And I said, wouldn't it be weird if I said no? And she looks at me and she smiles, and I was like, yeah. She goes, yeah, I guess you could have said, get your own table, bitch. And I was like, what a weirdly rude thing for me to do. I need this whole table to myself, even though I'm homeless and I'm eating for free. I still need the status of eating alone. because you do understand that there's a status which comes with being alone. That's why loners, I'm not a loner, but that's why loners behave in the way they do, because there's a mystique that comes with it. There is a status which comes with it. And so by that token, there is a status which comes with being able to survive in the woods in 29-degree and lower temperatures without freezing, and to have just so much joy about it, and like to think it's fun, and to challenge and test yourself like that. There is a status which comes with it, which is why so many people wanted to take away the opportunity from me. Just to make me skip it, force me to skip my 40 days, and I'm 24 in, and so far so good. In fact, it's supposed to be warmer tonight, and it's supposed to get up into the 50s at night next week. Now, it promised me that it wasn't going to be as cold as it was last night before, but whatever. I don't care about weather predictions, and I'm not that guy that's trying to be like, oh, I'm better than your freaking guy because I can step outside and see what temperature it is. And that guy with his meteorology, the most reliable but one of the most difficult sciences, was wrong. Me. I'm not that guy. I think those people are awful. But that's not the exact order that my day went in, actually. The exact order that my day went in, and this is the blessing that I wanted to tell you. She was actually the second person I sat with. The first person that I sat and ate with was an interracial couple, older black guy, much older black guy who hadn't taken care of himself very well, and looks like somebody you would recognize. Kind of reminded me of Lennox Lewis, actually. But probably 50s or 60s, and then his girlfriend's probably my age, maybe 45 at the oldest, and they sit down and they just immediately start bitching about the food. Just immediately start bitching. And now I hadn't got up to get food yet. She was the first and he was the fifth person in line, and she just immediately starts bitching. They gave us Salisbury steak and gravy, and it turns out, and I'll get to this, but it was real good, Salisbury steak and gravy, and she goes, I guess this is supposed to be beef meat, and he goes, yeah, it's Salisbury steak, and she's like, gives it a whole bunch of attitude. And they had a whipped cream cheese pie with the graham cracker crust and then a fruit topping, and the one I got was raspberry, the one she got was the apple caramel, and they were freaking out that it wasn't apple cinnamon, and it's like, yeah, it's apple caramel. Anyway, they were complaining. They just complained about everything, and it's so funny. Dude is talking about how they overcooked his vegetables, so they cooked all the nutrients out, and it's like, shut the fuck up. If you care so much, go manage the kitchen. You're not volunteering your time to cook. Shut the fuck up and enjoy it. And anyway, they both got seconds. And then he's talking about how he makes it a habit to not clean his plate, but he's bitching at her about how she got thirds of the dessert because she's greedy. And I'm just looking at him like, yeah, but you make a habit of wasting food. So this is what I'm talking about. And I'm talking about, if you say negative things about people, if you judge people, in fact, if you value judge anything, you're wanting. You're projecting. It's projecting want. Like, he was talking about how his kitchen used to have all these spices, and I'm like, yeah, well, you don't have a kitchen now. If you're such a good cook, where's your restaurant? Where's your kitchen? Why aren't you back there managing? Why are you visibly homeless, dirty, disheveled? Why aren't you taking care of yourself? If you're so much superior to these people who are providing to you, why aren't you their superior? And the answer is because they're projecting. They have to talk about how bad everybody else is to make themselves feel better about how truly, utterly useless and terrible they are. And that's not a value judgment of him. He turned out he was a nice guy. He treated me nice. I thanked him for his time, for respecting me and treating me nice. But they spent the whole time there just talking ugly, hateful drama about the people in their lives. So I just pulled out my Bible and started reading Ezekiel. And so while they're a third woman, the second woman, third person, sat down. and the two women just me, henpecking, talking just ugly venom about the people in their lives, and telling lies, obviously lying about their behavior, about the other people's behavior, and about their reactions. Just obvious lies. I mean, I don't even know these people, and I know that the women were lying about what they were saying, projecting to make themselves feel superior to somebody that is in power over them, has power over them. And so I just pulled out my book and read Ezekiel, and of course the chapter that I was on in Ezekiel is talking exactly about why women like that were kicked out of the government and out of the religion of Ezekiel's day. Because they're just awful people, and they encourage the people around them to be just like them, because if you're just like them, then they don't have to be better. And the whole message of the Jewish God is to be better for the sake of being better, and to hold the people around you to the account of being better for the sake of being better, not for a reward, not for the Mountain Dew, not for the 2 loaves of bread that I took off that shelf. I took a loaf of pumpernickel and a loaf of rye, but I made 2 trips. I didn't just take it to be greedy. I took the brown because I was hungry, and I'm gonna eat this. And then I came back to get the rye because the traffic had slowed down and it was still there, and there were 2 other loaves there. So it's like, I will eat this. This is a meal. I will break this over the course of 2 days. I'll eat it for dinner and I'll eat it for breakfast on Saturday and Sunday. So now I have food. I have 2 loaves of bread in my bag. I have a half loaf of bread still in my tent. I have food for Saturday and Sunday, and I thank God. I thank God for that. I thank Christ Table very much, and I thank the donations that Christ Table gets. But it was really funny. The Salisbury steak was so good. It turned out that the Amish came and donated their time and their food. And I was telling you the other day, I was just praising the handmade, that hands made this, human hands made this food, make this food every day that we're in there. And the people who complain about it being inadequate or subpar or whatever are not appreciating that it was made with the love of human hands. Even if those human hands aren't particularly skilled, right? Fine, they're not French culinary chefs. French food sucks anyway. That food, the portions are too small and it never tastes good. It's about how much you spend on it. And so if the way you love your food is by spending as much money on it as possible, you're doing it wrong. You're just doing it wrong. And this is, I've told you about this before, this is actually a French thing that I lean into, is food only tastes good if somebody else is paying for it. Food only tastes good if it's free, if you have French ancestry or you are French. And I think that's a real thing. And also being French, I don't mind just eating bread. So I'm not French, but I definitely have French ancestry, French Norman for sure. Too many of my natural behaviorisms are just like the French, and there is a genetic cultural memory in our behavior. I believe that because I see it in myself. I have no connection to France, but my natural inclinations, my natural likes are things that just came across the Atlantic with the French. And so they get up and leave. I pull out my Bible when I'm reading, and I just made it very clear that I don't approve of the way you're talking about like in a Christian. This is a Christian space, not just as a Christian space, but it's got Christ's name on it, and you're just not supposed to be. This is not hospitable. This is just not how you would talk if Jesus were the one serving the food. You just would not speak like this if Jesus were in the room. If he were in the room, going around to the tables, breaking bread with everybody and offering beverage to everybody and making sure that everybody was safe and happy and healthy and okay, you absolutely would not denigrate the food. You wouldn't denigrate the environment. You can't see me counting on my hands, but you wouldn't talk the way this couple, this 3 people, was speaking. And so they eventually did stop, and they started praising the food, and she started talking about how good it was. And so he gets this attitude like, it wasn't that good. No, he's not talking like it's that good. And I'm like, well, I'm not really eating because you guys have kind of ruined my appetite. Your ugly behavior has ruined my appetite, so I'm gonna wait until you're not here to thoroughly enjoy this food. But she was right. It was the absolute bomb. I don't know why he chose not to like it. People do that. They just choose not to like things. But they caramelized that Salisbury steak on a griddle, which means it was cooked over an open fire, and it was incredible. It was just tender and juicy, and it tasted like food, and it was hot. And anyway, I went back to the line and I said, I don't want anything. I want the kitchen, all of you. I need you to tell them behind you, because I know you don't hear it enough. This might have been the very best meal of my entire life. The potatoes were like chewing gum. They were so fluffy and so but then you put them in your mouth and it just melted into that gravy. It was incredible. I've never eaten anything like it. Never eaten anything like it. And I was really lamenting that I'm not going to get to eat it again anytime soon. I was sitting there, and so this is when the lady comes in and asks me if I can sit down. I'm reading my Bible, and I'm pecking at my honeydew, because it was cut in-house too. They cut it fresh. They didn't just get like a fruit bowl or open a can. That was real honeydew. And she sits down and she's eating with me, and she's like, well, I've got a friend and I got several friends that are going to come and eat with me. Are you okay, having all those people at your table? And I said, oh, absolutely, because people think I'm a loner. I'm just okay being alone, but I'm not a lone wolf. I'm not a loner. I don't see status. I don't see pride. In fact, I'm a little embarrassed of how much time I spend alone, because it's unhealthy, right? So I'm like, absolutely not. I love the company. And so she and I were just talking about how good it is, back and forth. Oh my God, it's so tasty. It's so good. Oh my God, holy shit. And I get up and offer to get her a coffee, and she's like, I don't take caffeine. So I come back, and her friends are there, and they're eating, and we're just giving so much praise and so much thanks for the food. And it was such a good meal. And then at the end of it, I'm just sitting there, and I've got my dessert, and I finished my fruit, and it was so dense. That dessert was so dense. That's what people don't understand. You want small portions and dense dessert, because you don't need any of it. You don't need any of it. And so what you want it to do is you want it to sit right on top of your full stomach without stretching you out. And you want it to be dense, so that you have to peck at it slow, so that it stretches, so that you can digest while you're working on your dense, delicious dessert. And it was. I have never thrown away a dessert in my life. I will work and work and work and work until I'm literally about to vomit to get the dessert down. And I did. I had to waste it. I got up and I threw it away, and I told the ladies in the kitchen, just, thank you. This was incredible. Just, no one's going to come up here and tell you this, but everybody out there is talking about how this is the best thing they've ever eaten. This is just stunningly good. Thank you so much. And what I want to tell you is that they didn't even know how to take it, especially the Amish women that I know worked that hard on it. They didn't even know how to take the thanks, because they're not servers, because they don't work in the restaurant industry. They don't know that what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to make a big fucking deal to the whole kitchen. You're supposed to raise the alarm and tell everybody, hey, we have a satisfied eater. And they just all got these big dumb looks on their face, like I was overdoing it. And no, this is hospitality. This is how hospitality works. When you're in a restaurant and it's good, tell the server compliments to the chef, compliments to the kitchen, our compliments to the kitchen. Really, our compliments to the kitchen. Because the kitchen will come out and tell you thank you. If your server is doing their job properly, they'll go back and they'll make a big deal. Hey, we got compliments on table whatever. And your chef is supposed to come out and say thank you and bring you a dessert for the compliment. That's how that's supposed to go. Or a glass of wine or a bottle of wine or something like that. That's how that is actually supposed to go. And this does come from hospitality, when restaurants were someone's actual kitchen, someone's actual dining room. And so anyway, I was really freaking out about wanting seconds, but not being able to get them down. And the woman who sat down with me, she's like, just put them in one of those Walmart bags. Just put it in a Walmart bag. And I'm like, no, food safety, the bacteria, food safety. And she goes, just do it. And now I'm going to say this way, and you're just going to have to deal with it. The gay guy to my right, because he kept saying, "Oh, but I'm a gay guy." So the gay guy to my right and straight guy, two females, blonde and a big brunette. Whatever. None of the specifics, the details matter. Just giving you a visual of what these people look like. Older guy, beard. The gay guy goes, "You're not the first person to do it today." And then as he's saying that, he says, "In fact," and the blonde lady comes back to the table and she's just immediately throwing the whole tray into a bag. She's just, throw it in that fucking bag, tie that fucking bag off, eat the shit out of that cold, don't fucking care. It's gonna go down all the same, and it's gonna be this dense in that cold. And I did. I got up and I said, my table convinced me, and all the girls cheered for me. They're like, good for you, do it. Lots of pretty girls in there today too. And that makes me feel good. You can tell that the other guys don't care, but I care. I like pretty girls. I like to look at pretty girls. I like to smile at pretty girls. I like to make pretty girls smile. I like to make pretty girls laugh. Not because I want sex from them. Not because I want anything but the laughter from them. But there's still I like to make all girls laugh, but just a pretty girl is nice. Doesn't matter what her body type is. Just a girl who... It's just nice to make a girl smile. Most girls are pretty when you make them smile. That's kind of what I'm getting at here. And so I call all of that... I count all of that as blessings. All of that is blessings. All of that is answered prayers. I have asked to be put in a position to improve people's lives and to show that my way is better. Her name was Cherish. And I told her, I said that suits you. Because you cherished that meal with me. And you cherished my meanness. And you cherish your friends. And she's even learned to cherish the struggle of the last 16 months of her life spent in homelessness, or with a home that is going to require more work than her body literally has in it to fix. She doesn't have the know-how or the muscle mass, if you want to say, the body type. She just doesn't have the know-how or the experience, the practice. And so I told her, she said she wants to turn it into a row house. It's 4 bedrooms already, and she wants to turn it into minimum 7. I said, well, everybody, that's going to end up 6 rooms that you can't live in. You can't sleep in all 7 of those bedrooms at once. I said, just everybody who wants to live there, tell them that if they want to live there, they can pay you rent by getting a fucking hammer and getting to work. And she got this look on her face like she'd never thought about it before. And I said, look, if you own it and they want to live in it, they can start working. They can fix it up. And you could do it as a community, as a group. And it'll be something that, yeah, you own it, but they all have a little part of it. And then whenever you pass it down to your child, or whoever you pass it down into, they'll know that however many, 7, 9, 10, 15 people all pitched in together to make this house, this structure, a livable home. And that inspired her. And I could see it. I told her, I was like, good luck with your place. And she says, yeah, I'm going to put these fuckers to work. And I said, good for you. Even if she backs off on it, even if her personality won't let her be that mean, that hard on people, I count that as a blessing, the opportunity to sit with them. And she goes, I've got a purple Bible just like that. So she commented and she bragged. She was happy to know that there was another person of faith in that place dedicated to Christ. And it just, what a blessed day. What a blessed day. And I might be able to go across the street, literally across the street, and get socks. I'm just so happy. And we're going to spend this last minute, because I'm done. I told you everything I wanted to tell you today, and I've done it in under half an hour. So we're going to spend this last minute, and we're just going to take the time to thank the mega corporations who have made this possible. The Muskingum County Library is not a mega corporation, but they're making this possible for me right now. I also want to thank Google, and YouTube is an umbrella product that Google makes, and then Verizon and Spectrum for their internet, even though I haven't used it today. And I just want to remind you that without them, I can't tell you about the blessings in my life, but I really want to hone in and thank YouTube specifically, because the videos that I really want you to see are the videos that it's pushing hardest on my algorithm. And so lots of gratitude. Remember to keep your eyes open, your hands up, your head on a swivel, and say thank you. It feels good.